Welcome to the hottest movie review on the internet today, the A-List Review. I am your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop, and I am back this week. I hope everybody had a good Christmas, happy holidays, or whatever the heck you celebrate. Hope you had a good one. So, I'm back with all the new holiday releases that came out this week. 4 new movies I have for you this week to review. First up, Joy, starring Jennifer Lawrence, as well as Concussion, the big movie starring Will Smith, Daddy's Home, starring Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, as well as Point Break. Yeah. So, let's kick this show off with a film that's up for some Golden Globes in just a few weeks, actually. In case you haven't had enough of Jennifer Lawrence paired with Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro, you get one more! Here is my review of Joy. The true story of Joy Mangano, a single mom who isn't doing as much in life as she had planned back when she was in high school. One day she decides to sketch up a design for a cleaning product called the Miracle Mop. After some snags, Joy finally ends up getting the product a spot on the network of QVC and is asked to have 50,000 units ready. After a colossal mistake by the host of the show, Joy demands she be the one to introduce the product on air. The Miracle Mop becomes a massive hit, but surprisingly, not all of Joy's problems are over as she decides to take matters into her own hands. So what did I think of Joy? I thought it's an engaging and oddball dramedy. Like many, when I first saw the trailer, I had no clue what this movie was about. Maybe they thought a film about an entrepreneur of a mop wouldn't put butts in the seats. It does show Joy's business ventures, the good and bad, and rise to the top. It also showcases the character's very dysfunctional family, which is a character study all in its own. There are some great inspirational messages as well, such as don't give up on your dreams. Seeing Joy go from the Kmart parking lot, trying to push the mop on customers and getting in trouble with the cops, hiring employees to make her product, then go all the way to QVC is interesting. Seeing how the network works behind the scenes is also a highlight. There are some really strange dream sequences that seem out of place. Director David O. Russell brings back what seems to be his go-to cast for the third film in a row. Jennifer Lawrence does great work once again and should be in the conversation for Best Actress awards this season. She stars as Joy Mangano, the inventor and valedictorian of her class who ended up staying in New York to help her parents after their divorce. Also in the cast, Robert De Niro as Rudy, Joy's father who owns a garage and really wants her idea to work. Bradley Cooper as Neil Walker, one of the big deals at QVC who gives Joy a shot. Edgar Ramirez as Tony, Joy's ex-husband, who still lives in her basement. Diane Ladd as Mimi, Joy's grandmother, who also wanted her to become something special. Virginia Madsen as Terry, Joy's mother, who lays in bed and watches soap operas all day. And Isabella Rossellini as Trudy, Rudy's new gal pal who invests in the Miracle Mop. Obviously, some of the elements here are more exciting than others, and I felt the film could have been a bit shorter. While Joy isn't on the same level of greatness as Silver Linings Playbook or American Hustle, it's still a film worth investing your time into. I'm gonna give it the rating of... do it. Alright, and the next film has been talked about a lot. Will Smith is up for a Golden Globe in just a few weeks. Yes? He could go up for an Oscar. We'll see. Here's my review of Concussion. Based on a true story in the early 2000s, a pathologist, Dr. Bennett Amalu, does an autopsy on a legend from the Pittsburgh Steelers who died at the age of 50, was living in a car and acting mad. Many wave it off as an early Alzheimer's disease, but Amalu demands to do research out of his own pocket, where he finds the player suffered over 70,000 blows to the head during his football career. The doctor warns of more deaths of players to come, when he discovers the condition of CTE. The NFL is not pleased with Umalo's claims and tells the public he's a fraud. Bennett soon finds himself going to battle with one of the biggest companies in America. So what did I think of Concussion? I thought it's a solid sports drama. It's pretty obvious this is not a film that the NFL will enjoy. It makes them out to be the villains, and for good reason, as they claim their players don't receive any kind of brain damage and do whatever it takes to keep the players in the game. After the initial autopsy, other problems begin to arise. Another player's suicide, and another acting violently towards their family. Of course, we see the pathologist receive threats from the big kahunas from the company. While there are a lot of important facts to uncover, the film does have a few flaws, at least in my opinion. There's a predictable romantic subplot, which I felt could have been condensed a bit, but of course, it is based on Bennett's life. I feel the film tries too hard to be great and goes a little too far with all the speeches about the American dream. The pace also drags from time to time and can get a little overly melodramatic. Will Smith does some of his best work in his career and is worthy of the nominations that are sure to come. He plays Dr. Bennett Omalu, the pathologist with a slew of degrees, trying to prove a legend died because of playing football. The rest of the cast includes Alec Baldwin as Dr. Julian Bales, the former NFL doctor who tells Omalu his research is correct and works with him, Juju Mathaba Raw, I don't know if I said that right or not, as Prima, a girl who moves to America from Kenya, who Bennett takes in as a roommate and later becomes his wife, Albert Brooks as Dr. Cyril Wecht, Umalu's boss, and David Morse as Mike Webster, the legendary center who died from brain damage. Concussion is a brave film that plays out good, but not great. I'm gonna give it the rating of... do it. All right, now let's brighten up the show a little bit here. Let's talk about a new comedy that came out this past week. They teamed up before in The Other Guys. They're teaming together again. The newest Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell comedy, Daddy's Home. After 8 months of marriage, a new stepfather is finally breaking through and becoming a mentor to his wife's 2 young children. Soon after, the wife's ex-husband and father of the kids calls the family and says he'll be stopping by for a visit. The 2 dads end up fighting in a battle of mind games and hijinks to see who's best qualified to take care of the kids. So what did I think of Daddy's Home? I thought it's a mostly decent comedy. When it started out, the laughs were pretty scarce, with some of the biggest being what had already been seen in the previews, such as Farrell on the motorcycle. Needless to say, I was a little worried. As it goes on, though, especially in the last 45 minutes or so, things pick up. Other than what you've seen, there are a few big laughs and chuckles throughout the film. As you may or may not expect, there is a bit of heart as well. In today's society, divorce and blended families are becoming more common and a big part of life, so seeing a humorous way of the parents working things out is a nice change instead of a courtroom drama or anything like that. There's also a nice message about what it takes to be considered a good father. Will Ferrell stars as Brad Whitaker, the stepdad who works for a smooth jazz station trying to win over his stepchildren, and Mark Wahlberg as Dusty Myron, the father of the kids who comes back to town to stir the pot and win back his family. The two have good comedic chemistry once again here. Also included Linda Cardellini as Sarah, Brad's wife who isn't thrilled about Dusty staying with the family during the visit, Thomas Hayden Church as Leo Holt, Brad's boss who tells stories that have nothing to do with the current topic, and Hannibal Buress as Griff, a handyman Dusty befriends. Daddy's Home isn't a legendary comedy, but packs in enough jokes, big and small, to work. I'm gonna give it the rating of... do it. And finally this week, here's a film that I was not looking forward to seeing. But you know, I saw it anyway, because, damn it. Here's my review of Point Break. A former motocross expert retires from the sport after a tragedy and becomes a cop. He soon finds himself going undercover to try and bust a gang who's been committing crimes while performing extreme sports. The cop is saved by the leader of the gang in a surfing mishap and becomes friendly with them. Will the cop do his job at the end of the day, or get in too deep with the suspects? So what did I think of Point Break? I thought it's an unnecessary action film. This is a remake of a film with the same name which became a cult hit in the early 90s. Any of the fun from the original film is totally missing in this version. I'll come out and say I had absolutely no desire to see this film when I saw the trailer, but I'd give it its fair shake. Unfortunately, there are very little redeeming qualities to be found. Instead of just sticking to surfing, the movie expands into the world of extreme sports, including snowboarding, flying in the suits that make them look like flying squirrels, wave runners, and lots more. As you can imagine, it's heavy on stunts with things like car and motorcycle chases and shootouts. There's also a scene which includes the gang skydiving from a plane with money that seems very familiar to the last Mission Impossible film. You could literally watch a YouTube highlight reel of stunts and be more satisfied than sitting through this. This feels like a film from the Fast and Furious franchise, but with much less interesting characters. Everything about this film has a very bland feel to it, including the performances. Luke Bracey stars as Johnny Utah, the undercover police officer who goes extreme to try and catch the perps. Edgar Ramirez, he's here again, 2 times in a week, as Bodhi, the leader of the gang, performing the Ozaki 8, which is a trial of tasks dealing with the forces of nature that no one has ever completed. Teresa Palmer as Sam Sarah, one of the members Johnny starts feeling for sexually, and Ray Winstone as Angelo Papas, Utah's FBI handler. If you're interested at all in seeing this movie, just watch the original film instead and don't waste your time, because this Point Break is a total wipeout. I'm gonna give it the rating of, hey, Point Break, I got 2 words for ya. Suck it. Alright, well, that's all the time for this week. I'll be back next week with my 2015 best and worst list. Yeah, that's so good it's shaking the camera. Whoa! And it's gonna be awesome. As well as my review of The Hateful Eight. And we'll see if that makes it onto one of the 2 of those lists. I'm assuming not the worst list. I hope not. Until then, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube. YouTube.com/WestsideOf515. You can like the Facebook page, Facebook.com/WestTruePaylist. Follow me on the Twitter and the Instagram at WestAList. And of course, soon the 2015 Movie Yearbook will be here. Right here. It will be here. Very soon. So if you're interested, pre-order. It's only $10 and it's gonna have over 150 reviews. Until next time, Troop out.